Welcome to the Yvonne Candy Show. Motivational, inspirational, and just plain fun. Where celebrities check in and you can check out what's fresh in entertainment, business, health, finance, and more. It's all about your lifestyle. Here's your host, Yvonne Candy.
Dr. Charles Clark went from felon to Hollywood movie star and even landed a role on the hit TV series Empire. Dr. Clark will be telling us his life story and how he became who he is today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Clark.
Hey, how you doing? It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for coming. I understand that around 6 years old, something happened to you that had an impact on your entire life. What was that?
Yes, at the age of 6, my father died due to a fatal accident, which devastated my life. It was a very horrific experience to see my father take his last breath, looking into my eyes, I looked into his eyes, and he was fighting for his life. But as we know, God make no mistakes. However, as a little boy, we know as a boy looking at his father and his daddy, that's the first hero, his best friend, the first man to come into his life to teach him too how to be a man. By me not having my father, a lot of things in my life wasn't validated because it was some things that only my father could teach me and show me. Although a very great mother, she still here, thank God, and she did the best that she could. That manly, that masculinity that I need to be built as I grew into my teenage and adult years, so happened to be affected by to the point to where I fell to the streets. At the age of, I say about 14 is when I really got attached to the streets, and there was a lot of people in the streets that was drug dealers, pimps, gangbangs, and so forth, who seen that I was vulnerable, looking for their father figure. Because when you're growing up and you're seeing children with their dads in their lives, they'll get them high fives, saying, good job, son, and, et cetera. Someone like me was like building this impact of jealousy, this envy, because I wanted my dad to say that. So once I got in the streets and you're hearing these guys, I didn't care about them being pimps and drug dealers and gangbangers. They were saying, calling me son or good job, boy. Even though I was doing bad things, I still enjoyed and accepted that fatherly love, no matter how it came in what form of fashion. And that's what attached me to the streets to the point to where I was now doing those things, and I had to do it, be consistent, because I never did want to lose that fatherly love. Although at the time I was blinded by what really was going on, it didn't matter. What mattered to me was the fact that I wanted someone to look at me as their son, be a part of a family where men can say, this is our boy, congrats. Whether it was selling drugs, whether it was, doing this crazy stuff in the streets, criminal stuff, I didn't care. And like I said, as I tell everybody my testimony, it was to the point to where it didn't matter about my dad anymore. It didn't matter about my losing my father. I was actually being consumed, and my habits was becoming that of the streets.
Your story is all so familiar with so many young people out there looking for love in the wrong places. They're trying to fill a void. They're trying to feel love because they don't have it. They say it's nothing like a mother or a father. Nobody can fill those shoes. I don't care what you do. But what does help is a lot of love from family, friends, community. That's what get a child through. And it's so many of them out there that have lost fathers in gang banging and, in some horrible ways, that you're not alone. You're not alone. Tell us a little bit more about your teen years. How did you get through that?
I tell you, it's hard to explain. You pull in two different ways. Deep down inside that what you're doing is not right. I mean, my mom, I grew up in the church, so I recognize right from wrong. However, it was like a bittersweet moment in my teenage years. I was growing up knowing that I was either going to jail or I could possibly be killed at any time because the things that I was into, the things that I was doing. When you hold the gun in your hand, when you're having a pocket full of money. I mean, at the age of 15 and 16, you got over $3,000 in your pocket. I mean, the average kid is not holding that much money, not even the average adult. So it was the power, then, the women, at a young age, I had older women at my disposal because of the people I was connected to. In some way, form, or fashion, So at the time, in that mindset, I was living a very great life. It had risk, it had sacrifices, but however, I didn't care. I mean, I wasn't broke. I had, basically any woman that I want. I called the shots, and people were respecting me, not only because of the things I was doing, but the people that was attached to me and if I was working for, who again looked at as my father's figure. So it was roller coaster moments, because there was times I could have lost my life. God protected me. There was times where people who I got close to and accustomed to, they lost their lives. So at the age of a teenager, you think about, you're supposed to be going to the circus, to the fair, to your school work, watching cartoons or watching a family, type movie or, playing a video game. My teenage years consist of mostly in the streets, learning rap songs, rolling blunts, selling multiple different kind of drugs and watching all of this madness. So there was a big difference other than the traditionalized way of living as a teenager. So, and if you look into the eyes of the world, what kind of product do you think that I could actually become out of that? I mean, here you go, a little boy who watched his father die. Here you go, a little boy who was so envious, so vengeful, had so much rage inside of him because he was simply upset because he seen everybody have their father and he didn't have his. Now he knows more about the streets than he knew about a regular lifestyle and going to those years.
Isn't it funny how the streets look for the vulnerable and the vulnerable look for something that the streets have? It's really something. I know guys that have said that they would never work a 9-to-5 because they can't have the big money that they make in the streets. It's really terrible, and it also spoils you. Yes,
it does.
But, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard to go to making $10, $15, $20 an hour when you can make $2,000 or $3,000 a day or more. It's.
Oh man. I've seen more money just in my teenage years than most people have seen in their lifetime. And not saying all of them was mine, because then I'd be lying. Most of them just seeing it, being around it. Amazing. It would be more better if it was gotten the right way. Maybe the lottery, or somebody just blessed you, left you up in their wheel, right, or whatever. But to see that much money, because people are destroying their lives. I mean, people are basically selling their lives, their souls, on these drugs in order for us, the top of the chain people, to get rich or try to get rich, or as 50% say, get rich and die trying. But that's not the way to go. It's not. And if you look at my resume before God changed me, there's no way I'm supposed to be here right now. There's no way.
Don't you think it's ironic that successful drug dealers are very talented? And I wonder why. Oh. Yeah, aren't they?
Yes.
They're great businessmen. Can't you take that same energy, just like you are doing now, and put it into something positive? Can't you be an entrepreneur in something? Take that talent and put it to good use, and you can still make the money, and you'll be safe. You'll have a life, and
exactly.
I don't know why so many young people that's out there in the street now don't do that. I guess it's because they don't have anyone to show them the way.
I mean, if you think about this, a lot of people, first thing they do, they judge someone. They say, "Oh, well, this person will do this, they're going straight to hell, or they're going to, die," and it is all of these prejudgmental statements. So when a person like us, I'm not say us coming back when I was my old self, when you hear that, when you see church folks, I'm not saying all, but there's a big, large group of church folks out there who, when they see you, instead of simply saying, "Come on in the house of God. No matter what you're going through, we're going to pray with you, we're here for you." Give them a hug. Treat them like, one of the family members of the church. You don't get that. They told me that I would not make it past 18, and that not God himself could change me. But I was told about several deacons and women of the church. They told me that God himself can change me.
I don't think it's enough programs out there for young people. Programs that would teach them how to be self-employed, to be entrepreneurs. I think they should be readily available for young people to find, to teach them how they can be wealthy without selling drugs.
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing right here. Formalities of being a drug dealer, it consists of not like a pyramid scheme. It's just running an organization, a corporate organization. Except in this field, you don't get fired or demoted. It costs you your life a lot of times if you don't go to prison and give your life to the system. But you think about this right here. Not only to protect who you are from the feds or the police officers or people who's undercover or the snitches and everything else, but now you have to protect yourself from your family members because now they're envious with the money that you're making. And if you don't look out for them or keep stuff so subtle to where they don't know what's going on, then you have to deal with them, their friends, your friends that you have made, because now some of your friends will going to become enemies. Then you have to make sure that if you're in that deep, you have actual people that's work with the law enforcement, work in the government, that you have to keep them paid off because now, once they in there, they going to make sure that you go there before they go there. So will there be, a clause somewhere to where there be a 2 or 3 stint of nothing going on in the streets or something's being withheld? Then the money stops. The money stops, the train stops. The train stops, what happens? There's no tracks. Now, this is a simple method of corporate America because corporate America has a product. That product serves the individuals out there in the streets and making their life more at ease at a good price and consistently. When that product stops, what happens? They get frustrated. They start going to somewhere else. And then they'll tell that new person about how bad the previous product was because they wasn't consistent. So basically what I'm saying is that, and like you said before, if you take that same method and use it in corporate America, anybody who's been under the extent of pressure and standard in the streets where your life is challenged, is checked every day, where the Grim Reaper is steadily walking behind you every day. If you can take that and do that work for God, you will build your own empire.
Exactly.
So you're right. You know, the drug dealers are definitely, if they were to converse, and transform into productive citizens and entrepreneurs, the right way, yeah.
And I think there's some guys out there or women out there, I just people in general, for some reason, like the rush of it all. It's just like being a career criminal.
Exactly.
You have some people that stay in jail all their life, in and out of jails. It's some sort of big thing to them. They feel as though that they're gaining some sort of recognition for it. They get a rush off of knowing that they can lose their life, but do they realize that you don't come back? You're not coming back.
They learn the hard way.
Right.
My thing is, when I was doing, I counted every day as a blessing because I knew I was just so deep. You don't have to be. How can I put it? Everybody wants the number one spot. That by itself is dangerous. When people say they can get more or achieve more in the streets if they knock you out the way, you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's a no-win situation.
Right.
You can make enough money to be okay, but you want to be the top boss, then you get the top boss out.
Right.
Then the top boss has to make sure that anybody comes too close to him is knocked off. There ought to be a threat as far as just be beefing in general, simply because of the spot that you have. It's just
yeah.
Yeah.
But not only do you have to be street smart, you have to learn the game, and it's a business. That's why they can take that energy and they can really, really be some sort of great CEO, climb the corporate ladder, or be a great entrepreneur. And I just wish that so many people understood that. But still, like I said, some people love that rush and they get hung up into that life, and it's nothing you can really do about it. That is something that almost happened to you. You went to prison for how many years?
Close to 8 years, 7 years and 6 months.
You were in jail for 8 years. What happened to you during that time?
Well, I'll tell you like this right here, and I want to make this clear to everybody. Jail, because a lot of people don't realize this. Jail and penitentiary is very different. Jail is a slap on the wrist. It really is. Mm-hmm. Most of the people that's in jail for real is DUIs, child support, miscellaneous stuff. Mm-hmm. I was in penitentiary, much more stricter. Those guys, they don't play no games. Ain't no guys in there with DUIs and stuff. These guys ain't to kill their mamas, some to kill their own kids, some to kill their own brothers. They don't care about nothing. A lot of those guys. But you have some that also did just that, but they have actually changed their life around. Well, from my experience, when you're accustomed to being around those people 24/7, and you can't go home, it's like putting a bunch of animals together. Because we're a bunch of animals. We don't care about life. We don't care about people. But at some point, how can one change in that environment? It's like taking somebody out the jungle and putting them in a bigger jungle with a mixed breed of animals. And what happens when you put a mixed breed animals in together? Mm-hmm. They will respond to violence more than the same breed. It's by law of nature. However, the law of God stands, and that's what happened with me, the law of God, because I started finding myself going in my third year, and I had this guy in there who mentored me. He'd been there 15 years, here like 6 more years ago, and he was telling me that he's seen the greatness in me. He's seen how I can transform lives, that I can change lives in the course of a moment just by speaking. He'd been watching me and talking to me, and deep down inside, yes, I believed that somewhere in my heart, but it wasn't just there. Until when the situation flipped. He had a situation where his wife left him. She enrolled with him basically for 15 years. The last 6 years, she couldn't do it no more. He had 3 kids. I think he had 3 kids with this woman. So he broke down, and he just was ready to give up. So now I became the mentor. I became the leader of the voice, of purpose in that realm. And I started talking and speaking to him. Words I thought I could never speak. I was speaking, and God was using me. Correctional officers, they would come to my cell and ask me for advice. The assistant warden would ask me for advice and praying with them. I'm like, wow, if this could happen in here, imagine I could do it in the free world.
You must have had quite an influence in prison for people to come to you and ask you to pray with them.
Yes, yeah, it is all God. God gets the glory. I've been to this day, I never can understand. Like, because people I'm asking, what point did you know that did you transform? That's why I'm always asking. I'm like, I really can't pinpoint it. I know the time frame. It just happened. God just come in right at the fourth of a second.
And when you got out of prison, you was an advocate. You were doing motivational speaking. How did you start on that journey? What were you doing on that journey?
Well, I went to a program when I got out, a reentry program called OAR. And once I completed the class, what I did was I did so well, they had me to come in, voluntarily to speak to new people that's coming in out of prison and jail, in the first stage of the program. And also, I was still on probation, so it helped me get off probation early. Instead of being on probation for 5 years, I was on there for 3. So once I started talking to people and get their response and their feedback from their families, from their counselors, from their other probation officers, I started getting recommended to speak. So I spoke, I said close to a year. Churches, different kind of business venues, schools here and there, community events. I even did family reunions. And it just started becoming a habit. It's like the same way I adapted to when I was in the streets, I adapted to speaking. And I got into radio while I was doing that. And I won 2 awards with radio. And when I did that, I said, wow. I said, I didn't realize how many people was actually saying, people telling me that I was about to take my life, but because I listened to your segment, I knew it was a reason to live. This guy, raped me 28 years ago. and I've been to a lot of mega churches in my area, blah blah blah. But because of your segment, I forgave them. And I'm saying, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
How did you become Dr. Charles?
I'm still trying to figure it out. Although, this is what happened. The Baltimore riot, which became even bigger than the LA riot, and I know everybody's familiar with it, was worldwide news. I was a part of the movement called the One Baltimore Movement with Pastor Jamal Bryant. I was in there with the mayor and other, advocates, throughout Baltimore and also worldwide. That was a very prominent moment in the history of the United States of America and in the city of Baltimore over the Freddie Gray murder. And actually, I was in it with Freddie Gray's aunt. From that point on, a lot of people recognized me and who was associated with the National Theology Association. And their university was a part of it, of course, accredited through them. So they would watch me from that point on for up to 2 years, after 2 years after that. And they seen me, I was marching and doing other advocacies, by the Capitol, not only just for gun violence, but also fighting for veteran rights and so forth. And also, too, I was on a couple of calls with the White House. They especially invited me on calls from, First Lady Michelle Obama, different members of Congress who was fighting for gun laws, hate crimes, religious hate, and so on. And it just been consistent. I remained humble. I did my due diligence for God first. I received a phone call from the college, and they said that because of my hard work, consistent work, and not just in my community, but all over, my call to duty, they would bestowed me with the honorary Doctorate of Divinity.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
One of your accomplishments was your daughter. I heard you say that she was your greatest gift, and I thought that was one of the most beautiful things that I have ever heard a parent say. Tell me about her.
Well, my daughter, Sinead Clark, is more than a gift. She's my everything. When she came into my life, I got a prison in 2009, February 18th. She was born June 1st, 2010. She was born and at birth, she had a thing called trichomalacia, which was a big challenge for her. She almost died from that, but God brought her through. And I remember standing up long nights after working 2 jobs to make sure that she was okay, to make sure that she was sleeping on her right side, making sure that she was just comfortable, because when she was born, during her mother had what you call the surgery, C-section.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a sort of a bad experience with C-section. So when my daughter was born, they had immediately put her in ICU, temporarily. So when my daughter was born, the first person she saw was me. And that's very rare. Most times she see both of her parents, but it was just me for those first couple of hours. She attached to me. She was no bigger than, a little bit bigger than my hand. And so I realized then it wasn't just about me, it was about her. I figured that I've lived my life. Now I know I had more to do in my life, but I had to pave the way. And I said to myself that now that my father was my hero, I became her hero. So I had to just stand up to that and be prepared. And that's what pushed me more. That's what made me go harder. It wasn't about me anymore. And I think that's a lot of things that people have to realize, especially as parents, is that it's not about us. Once you bring a part of you in this world to extend, you have to prepare that future for the extension of who you are. That's what a legacy is. That's what life is about. Reproduction of something great. And it's the enemy's job to stop that. But we can't let them do that. So when I see her, I see that I'm actually reborn again. She's 6 now, but a part of me is 6 years old.
That's beautiful. A child will do that to you. They will take you places that you never thought that you would go. And I don't understand how some people could leave their children and choose a life that would take them away from their child. and cause that child to and cause that child to have more heartache in life. Well, outside of your daughter as accomplishment for you, you have come a long ways from Felon to Hollywood movie star. You appeared on Empire. You did a major movie. You're doing Showtime. Tell us about some of the things that you're doing right now.
Yes. So first of all, let me say shout out to Fred Newsom and the Newsom Award Committee. I was just honored to accept the Male Actor of the Year award, which I'll be attending the ceremony in August. God gets the glory. Yes, I have a recurring role in Empire as one of Sean's main guys in this crew. Actually, they just showed me on there this past Wednesday. I did a lot of stuff with TV One. I've done a lot of the true crime series. I just was in their most recent one, which is coming out soon, Thou Shall Not. I was in For My Man twice, For My Woman once. I just did Thou Shall Not. I've been on Greenleaf. I'm about to be in 5 episodes of House of Cards on Netflix. The big screen film is coming out, 53206, which is basically about the zip code of Milwaukee, which is the zip code number is the most violent zip code in regards to gun violence in the United States of America. I play Detective Albert. I got some stuff where I did something with Tyler Perry, If Loving You Was Wrong, where I was a feature detective. The list goes on. There's so much other stuff which I can't discuss right now, but of course I will make sure, my sister in Christ, that you get the scoop on it. But yes, it's an amazing journey to be around these actors who we look at superstars. They're just regular everyday people who are just using their gift.
Oh yes.
But they love to have a normal conversation without the paparazzi, without, can you sign my autograph? They will talk about simple things like how to make a bologna sandwich. What's the best way? Is it fried on one side? Seriously, these are conversations they love to have.
I think many people forget that they're real. They're just like them. They do the same thing every morning that you do. That's the way somebody told me to look at it. When they get up in the morning, they go to the bathroom, they eat, they brush their teeth, they do exactly the same thing.
Exactly. One of the greatest people I've met, Terrence Howard. Oh man, this brother here is something else, and I mean in a good way, great way. When I talk with him, when we get a chance, he's so articulate, so deep, like he can make it in the universe, and he that's so. The science of this man's brain is phenomenal. Well, I don't know if a lot of people don't know, Terrence can actually play more than 3 instruments, and he can write backwards. Tell him anything, he can write it backwards.
Wow.
So this brother has got so many gifts besides acting and being such a great father, who's his son who was just born not too long ago, which is a hero. But Terrence Taraji, she is simply amazing. Taraji would keep you laughing. She makes the set so fun, but she's about her business. Exhibit, who plays Shine, my boss on Empire, very humble brother, very outgoing, supportive. Bigger than a hip-hop legend. He's definitely an amazing actor. Trey, Jussie, Yaz, Taronda, the whole crew. The whole crew is phenomenal. And I'm blessed because of all the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears, because I believed in God and quit my job and able to still provide for my family. When I say family, my mother, my daughter. That's what I mean by family. That's my 2 sweethearts. Love them. Anything
be appearing on real soon that we can look forward to seeing?
Yes. TV One's Thou Shall Not. I'm on the next 3 episodes of Empire because only 5 episodes left. They're on a 2-week break. I'm coming back for the 4th season, of course. It won't be this Wednesday coming. It will be the next 3 Wednesdays. So skip this one. I don't know the exact dates, but I just know the next 3 Wednesdays.
Let's see. It's the 14th of April, 2017. So you can look forward to seeing Charles Clark on the shows that he's talking about now. So continue to tell us about some of these programs that you're going to be on, Charles.
Okay, so, of course, everybody knows me on Empire. I play a bad boy, a bad guy, with Shine's crew. And it's crazy because I used to do that back in the day for real. So it was authentic how God used my testimony, and I'm actually playing that in one of the top TV show on the planet right now. But with TV One, I play nothing but detective roles. I've been booked for a lot of detective roles. And it's amazing because I used to be a criminal. Now I'm doing detective work. That's the biggest, like, that is so crazy. Like, I'm standing here in a badge, fully, this is TV One. It's a major production. And I'm saying to myself, I'm interrogating these criminals on these weird actions, but I used to be one.
Well, they think you know. They think you know the roles. That's why. That's why they have.
I do. I'm telling you, my testimony has got me so much. I'm telling you, everybody out there, listen. What I'm talking. Please listen. Use your testimony to birth your purpose. My testimony is the reason why my acting career is going so great. I'm being honest. God had to put me through that, knowing that it would be an arsenal to what I'm doing right now. I would never think. I mean, when you be on set and you have these celebrities who come to you, man, Charles, man, so tell me more. I want to hear more. Or when you have the directors and producers who are so intrigued by, when you have a Hollywood director say, "Hey, you even got to drive 13 hours here in the room with the powerful testimony, huh? Brother, good job, great story. High five." It's like, wow. It travels. So it's to the point now I don't have to submit for no roles, barely. They call me or email me, "Charles, are you available? We need you."
That's unbelievable.
Like, wow.
That's unbelievable.
It's all God. It's all God. And also in May, I'm doing an independent film, my first lead role. I will definitely keep you updated on the in-depth information. I can't speak on it, but it's my first lead role. Also, too, House of Cards on Netflix. I've been 5 episodes. So look out for that in May, which is by Kevin Spacey. That's his own show, and the show is the #1 political drama in the world. Kevin Spacey is a great guy. I took his master class in acting, completed and passed it. Much love to Kevin. There's so much going on right now. What else?
Well, you're busy and a good
Reels,
busy.
Yeah, Reels channel. Everybody know about the Reels channel. It's like the ID channel. Copycat Killers. I played the lead SWAT. I forgot about that one. And so much between May to July, I got so much stuff that's coming out that I've already done because, as you know, people always film or do the work 3 to 6 months before it actually come out. So I got so much stuff that I've done that's coming out. So pretty much from here on to July, the 1st of July, you'll be seeing a lot of Charles Clark.
Well, thank you so much, Charles, for being on the show. I really enjoyed the history, and I enjoyed the street lesson. It was very interesting.
Yes. Well, I want to say to you, you play a very pivotal and honorable point to stories like mine and everybody else is out there because of your platform, your amazing platform, and how God is using you. I want to say I thank you for letting my voice be amongst the masses that touch people's lives. So you too played a huge part, and I appreciate that.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the Yvonne Candy Show. Like our show? Follow us, subscribe, and leave a review on iTunes. Want to know more? Check out YvonneCandy.com.